you. So let's get into Steven now. So Steven, I'm going to introduce him. He is from Orange County. He's an amazing agent, good friend of mine. I known him forever. And what he's going to talk about, his portion is geared towards real estate agents. And so he's going to talk about best practices, how to weather the storm, how to create a big business and make it through to the other side. So Steven, take it away, bud.
Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, I'm super excited. So the first question that I'm going to address with everyone is how can I build my business through a quarantine, right? And I think there's two quotes that really come to mind right now. And one of them is a quote by Mark Twain. And he said, there's two important days in your life. The first one is the day you're born, and the second is the day you find out why. And I think it's really, really critical right now that agents know why you're in the real estate business. For myself, you know, my father was an investor, and he bought 16 properties, paid them off, and was able to retire off that income. And, you know, for me, that was such an inspiring thing as a kid to see him buy real estate and sell real estate and make a profit outside of his normal day-to-day job. And I really realized something at that time, that real estate is the only method by which the average man or woman is ever going to achieve real financial success. The average person's never going to master the stock market. The average person's never going to do these complicated investments, right? So that's why I'm in this business. And there's always opportunities, whether the market's up or down. So for agents, should you build your business through the quarantine, ask yourself why. Is your purpose because you can't sleep without helping people and making their lives better via real estate? Or are you in it to make money? If you're in it to make money, then you should have that conversation with yourself, and you should consider another career right now. The second thing that I would tell agents is a quote from Martin Luther King. And he said, you know, when you can't run, walk. When you can't walk, you know, crawl. And it's like, you have to start somewhere. Whatever you can do right now, start somewhere. So right now, maybe you can't do open houses, but you can make one call to your sphere of influence every day. Maybe you can't go out door knock, but you can do something every day to build your business. So my question sheet, my answer to the question, should I build my business through the quarantine, is, do I have a strong enough why? Do I really want to help people? Is it an altruistic thing where I want to see them have a good transaction? Or is it about money? And if it's about money, there's not going to be much of that over the next year. So you got to get really clear on that. And then number two, where can I start? What can I do based on my current means, right? If I don't have a lot of money, I might not be able to farm right now. And yet I can social media, I can do things like that. So with that being said, let's say you want to stay in the real estate business right now. How are you going to build your business? The first thing that you have to do is you have to master a virtual lead gen strategy. So if you haven't read the great book by Spencer Johnson, Who Moved My Cheese, then you have to learn the story it's a very simple story. And long story short, you know, one of the mice is going to a place where cheese was always there. And one day that cheese was not there anymore. And so he just started complaining, why isn't it there? Why isn't it there? The other mouse went over and found another source of cheese. And that's what you have to do right now. Open houses are not yielding the same results. So ask yourself, based on my strengths and my expertise, where can I get business virtually? So I'm going to give you guys some of the best strategies that I've been using that my mind was blown actually how well they worked in the last couple of weeks. Number one is meetup.com. Okay, it costs about $21 a month, $23 a month to become a host on meetup.com. What I did is I actually started a meetup group called COVID-19 and Real Estate. Now, before this COVID-19 thing happened, if I hosted a real estate meetup group, nobody would have shown up for a real estate one. They were mostly showing up to personal ones. In this one, I had 57 people sign up in the first week. And not only that, a lot of them gave me their contact information and identified as a home buyer or a home seller. So ask yourself, how can I come from value? And is there a group that I can start on meetupgroup.com? And let me make it really simple for you. Are you a mom with kids that you're homeschooling right now? you need to start a meetup group called a virtual mom support group who homeschools kids. Are you somebody right now that's looking to do at-home home improvements and you're a really handy person? You need to start a meetup group called Tips for Doing At-Home Maintenance, right? And you need to build a virtual tribe of people, and that is your new sphere of influence. And from there, you are going to be really interested in connecting with all these people, and they're naturally going to ask you about real estate and what your business is. So meetupgroup.com, I think, is the biggest opportunity right now, because while people are social distancing, they're really, if we're honest, they're craving connection more than ever. We're not satisfied with social media. We're not satisfied hanging out at home. We want to relate to people. And who do we want to relate to? People that are just like us. So if you like to play guitar, if you like to do stuff at home, if you like puzzles, start a meetup group and do a virtual Zoom meeting once a week and focus on building that community. The second online virtual lead gen strategy is Facebook groups. Let me ask you a question. How many Facebook groups have you been invited to in the past 2 weeks? For myself, I have been invited to a new Facebook group almost every 2 hours. I mean, dear God, how many groups can I possibly be part of, right? So there's a reason all these people are inviting you to groups, because they know something, is that the preferred method of hangout these days is Facebook groups. That's where people want to go and post and get answers. So having said that, ask yourself again, same strategy as Meetup. Maybe you create a Facebook group to supplement your Meetup group. So you start the Meetup group, you create connections with all these people, and then you say, hey guys, I'm going to be posting some daily videos in my Facebook group, COVID-19 and real estate. Go ahead and join here, right? So that's a second opportunity, is Facebook groups. Again, this is a real blessing in disguise that nobody's really pointing out right now. We're moving into a time where sales used to be, you know, you call the client, you qualify them, and you try to get the sale. Now, sales is becoming a place where I find something I'm passionate about, I see that you're passionate about it, so let's start hanging out together and create a community around that. What a blessing that is. You can actually just be yourself and attract clients right now. So you need to be really good at creating a virtual tribe. Lastly, your digital online strategy, Nextdoor.com. You need to be the expert in Nextdoor.com. Now, this is one that I personally haven't been using myself to my own detriment. And yet I've seen some of my competitors absolutely kill it on there because they have branded themselves as a local professional. So from a digital strategy, that's going to be something that I'm going to be using soon. Karen Castro said Nextdoor is amazing, right? So she obviously has experience from it. In fact, if you're watching this and you're on Nextdoor.com, comment below, yes, do I trust recommendations from Nextdoor? Do I get referrals from there? Or no, I like to go to other places. So just comment yes or no if you're watching. So I said that Nextdoor.com is a great strategy. So find your virtual lead gen strategy, and it's going to be meetup groups, it's going to be Nextdoor, it's going to be Facebook groups. But whatever you do, narrow in on something you're truly passionate about. Because what's not a passion of yours will not be continued in the social realm. You'll get bored after a while and you'll say, that's enough, right? So that's the first thing you got to do is get that virtual lead gen strategy. I know this is a really simple statement, but in order for you to make money and get business, you have to have leads. And if open houses were the way of getting leads, acknowledge that that was a season and be grateful for that season. And now that that season's over, you take what you learned from that season so you can be better in the next season. And what you're going to find out is that this whole digital realm, while it's very challenging and difficult to embrace, it's going to bring about more connection than you ever imagined. Have you seen how connected we are as a country in the last 3 weeks? I mean, I have never been so informed on what's happening in my government and this and that. You know, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, partnered with Facebook today to do a Facebook Live to talk about the real up-to-date things that are happening. So this is the kind of connection and community we're creating. Obviously, when all this is over, it's going to be great to hang out. But right now, you can reach hundreds of people that share your common interest. So recognize it as a blessing. The second thing you want to do is you want to master the virtual meeting. Guys and gals, if you're watching this, there are some real complications with doing virtual meetings. Right now, I'm at my house. If my dog decides he's going to go absolutely nuts, I've got no control over that, right? So I'm just praying none of my neighbors walk by. So you really have to get good at virtual meetings. Make friends with the mute button. If you start a virtual meeting and you hear someone and their background is just so bad, put that person on mute right away. Do it for the rest of the group. This is a time where you really actually need to have some leadership skills if you're going to conduct a good virtual meeting, okay? So how do you conduct a good virtual meeting? You start every meeting with a purpose. You start every meeting with a goal. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I am beyond excited at the opportunity to help you sell your home. The first goal that I have here today is to really understand what's important to you in this process so that I can help make that happen for you. So you want to state your goal in the beginning of the meeting. Once everyone knows the goal, they all start to act in alignment with the goal, okay? So begin with the end in mind. The second thing that you want to do is you want to create engagement through questions. You see, as we're all talking right now, distractions are coming up. There might be notifications on Anthony's computer. There might be text messages coming in on Melissa's phone. That's the challenge of a virtual meeting. I might check my phone on a virtual meeting, whereas I would have never done that in person. So you have to ask a lot of questions to create engagement. You know, Mr. Seller, based on what we've discussed in your local market, what are your thoughts on what's going to happen in the next 3 months? And then you just get quiet, right? Because you want to create engagement. You want to make sure they're engaged in the conversation. How are you going to show your listing presentation? You're going to use Zoom and you're going to do a screen share. So the same way you would give a listing presentation, you're just going to do it via a screen share. Now, the ability of someone to pay attention on Zoom versus in person is going to really diminish. So you're going to need to cut to the fat and get to it right away. Mr. Seller, this is what's happening in the market. These are the costs. These are the challenges that we could see. What are your thoughts on that, et cetera, et cetera. This is not the time to talk about how passionate you are about your horses, right? Or how many dogs you have or whatnot. You really need to make good use of people's time on a Zoom webinar. Obviously, when it comes to the listing agreement or purchase contracts, you're going to have them sign them digitally. And in your presentation, you're going to have a page where you're going to share how you can make it the consult or the transaction COVID-19 friendly. So, Mr. Seller, is safety important to you and your family? Absolutely. My number one goal in this process is to keep you and your family safe. Is it okay if I share with you now how I'm going to do that? You go through the plan. Can you see how that would keep your family safe? Do you have any questions or concerns about that plan? Don't? Wonderful. We'll move on. So that's one of the things that you're going to do. So after you master your virtual lead gen, you're going to start getting appointments. Now you're going to be mastering the virtual appointments, and that's what we just discussed. So the third thing that you have to do is now you really have to imagine a real estate transaction that is virtual end-to-end. Now, Anthony discussed that a little bit, so I'm not going to go too much in this point. But what I am going to ask you to do is take out a piece of paper over the next week and ask yourself, what are the current times that I meet with the client in person? And then a follow-up question. Okay, I usually meet with them at the home inspection. I usually meet with them at the showing. Usually, if I had to do those virtually, what would that look like? What additional technology would I have to purchase? What leverage would I have to use? So start thinking through that virtual strategy end to end. Anthony covered those points, so I won't bore you guys with the rest of that, but that's my challenge for everyone. Okay, another thing that you want to look at is protecting yourself financially right now. In California, and for those of you who are watching this, go ahead and type a comment where you're at in the country. Are you in Kansas? Are you in Florida? Just say, I'm in Orange County, California, wherever you're at. So I know where you guys are at. So Eileen Lanza said I'm in LA, Mike Law, Oahu. So we got people from all over the country right now. So because I'm in California, I'm going to talk about that. So the California Association of Realtors just came out with a message, and they said, here is your financial help hotline. So we actually have a dedicated hotline as realtors where we can call CAR Legal or the California Association, and we can say, what are my options? You can likely get unemployment insurance right now. You can likely get an instant tax credit if you file for it right now. You can apply for a small business loan at no interest, and some small business loans are forgivable. Here's the catch with all of this. These things run out. They're not unlimited funds. So the earlier you get there, the more likely you're going to get the benefit. So if I'm an agent and I'm struggling financially, and let's get it all in the playing field. We are all going to struggle financially over the next year. It's just a reality. So quit trying to act like you're all great with your BMW and your tuxedo, because we've seen the Instagram photo and we know it's Photoshopped, all right? So let's just be real, okay? So if you're struggling, let's get some help and let's call out, because the government is stepping in a way where they never have before, and they're stepping in to help realtors. That's not something they've done in the past. So if they're helping you, this is the time to take advantage of that opportunity. Also, call your mortgage company and ask, what are your payment options right now? There's a difference between forbearance and payment deferral and a lot of different options that they offer, right? So call them and see if you can work out a payment deferral plan, which would allow you to defer your payments for a few months, and then they tack it on to the end of your loan. Mike Law in San Diego said SBA.gov. That's where you go for loans. So if you want to look up those loans, SBA.gov. Okay. So protect yourself financially, guys. That's one of the main things that you can do right now. You want to keep yourself above water, okay? And so that's the most critical thing that you can do right now. What I recommend to everyone is you want to, looking into April, right? So it's March 30th today. We're going to be in April in a few days. Let me check my calendar. We're going to be in April in 2 days, right? So having said that, what have I assigned my money to do? Dave Ramsey, the leading financial coach in America, says, tell your dollars what to do. Tell your dollars what to do. So look in April and say, where am I going to put my money? And there should be two categories. So you list out all your expenses, car payment, groceries, insurance, medical, everything. And then you ask yourself, what category does it fall under? Essential. Do I need it to survive, and do I need it for my for the survival of my business? No, then it's non-essential. I don't need it to survive, and I don't need it for my business. I love to get massages. I have a membership with Massage Envy. I think it's critical for health, and it's a good thing. I cut that right away, right? Not essential right now. I can stretch and I can do things for free. So I'm looking through all my bills, and I'm asking myself, not what can I add to it, what can I eliminate from it, okay? And what you'll find is during this time, let me just, on a personal level, ask yourself, how resourceful am I? How flexible am I? The more resourceful, the more flexible you are, the more successful you will be. Really successful agents and successful people, it's like Winston Churchill said, is if you're going through hell, keep going, right? Don't stop. And that's what's going to happen right now. So just keep going forward every day, but be resourceful and be flexible. I'll just be candid. The first 5 years of my career, I sold real estate, and I bought a Honda Accord, 2005 Honda Accord cash. I never, ever showed it to my clients. I would park a so it was such an old car. It was not what my competition was driving. And I'd walk a quarter mile to my listing appointment to get that listing, because you have to do what you have to do with the finances you have. And I pay for cars cash, or I wanted to pay for my car cash. So I had to justify it with production. So having said that, maybe this is the time for us all to humble ourselves a little bit and maybe cut out some of the finer things that we thought and focus more on what we're grateful for. So get clear financially. The last thing in summary that I'm going to challenge you guys to is to really shift your mindset during this time. You guys, every shift is a gift. Some of your greatest insights, some of your greatest business practices, some of the best learning lessons you will ever have will come from this time right now. Have you ever gone through a hardship in your life, and it was during that hardship that God or yourself or whatever, you learned something new, or you opened your mind to a new concept and that changed your life forever? Absolutely. We don't grow through the good times. We grow through the valleys so that we can get to the next peak. So just remember, this is the valley, this is the peak. You need to go through this to get to this. If the peak was easy, everyone would be there, right? So having said that, that's your mindset right now. So number one, your routines right now are absolutely sacred. They are untouchable. When you wake up in the morning, do not check your phone. Do not let your family or anyone interrupt you. You tell your family, listen, from this time to this time, I am exercising, I am meditating, I am praying, I am researching the market. This is my time. This is the time that I'm going to devote to you so I can be fully present to you. When I'm off of work or when I'm on lunch, I'm 100% yours. But in the morning, I need to get ahead. So that's the time where you start your workout first thing in the morning, you meditate, and you do your market research. You want to really be an expert in the market, and we'll talk about that in my next point. So you keep your routines. When people go from going to school every day for 8 hours a day, and they stop going to school, what do you think happens to them? They experience this kind of internal chaos, right? Of, oh no, this is what I did every day, and now I'm not doing that. All of a sudden, I'm really stressed out and scared. Well, the way to combat that is you keep the daily routine. So if every Friday night you hung out with your girlfriend, well, guess what? You keep that meeting, and you're doing that over Zoom now. You want to keep those routines. So don't break what was working. Now that you've got your routines in place and you've got all that, you need to really be a market expert. I would say of a lot of the agents that I talk to, and Anthony and Melissa, you guys tell me, of all the agents you talk to, what percentage do you feel really take being a market expert seriously?
10%.
What's that?
I said 10%.
10%, right? Now, isn't that interesting where we are paid in correlation to the expertise that we have, and only 10% of the agents are really becoming an expert of the market.
Yeah.
Now the challenge is, it's not that they don't want to be an expert, Anthony. The challenge is they've never learned how to be an expert at anything. And so they don't actually know how to become an expert. So here's how you become an expert. Number one, you do research every single day. So before you open up your email, you should look at the new listings in your local MLS, okay? So I'm in, my office is in Mission Viejo, California. That's the area that I really love to do business in. I serve, all of Southern Orange County, California. But if I'm, but that's an area where I really spend a lot of time in. So if I'm going to the office, I'm looking at the new listings in Mission Viejo, right? So I want to see the new inventory that's available. That's 101, know your product. The second thing I want to do is I want to see the trends in two things: active sales and pending sales, right? Inventory, active sales is supply, pending sales, that's demand. What happens when supply goes down? Demand goes up. What happens when demand goes down? Supply goes up, right? So if you're not ahead of the market right now, you're actually behind it. If you're in touch with what's happening in the market, you're actually getting behind the market. So you need to know on a daily basis, where is the market going? For example, in Orange County, California, pending sales went down 7% in the last 2 weeks. Now, Anthony, would you say that's a big shift?
That's a huge shift in 1 week.
That's a huge shift in 1 week, in 2 weeks, right? That's a major shift. And so if I was to look at that, I would say, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. But what you also have to do is you have to look closer at the numbers, right? We have sales in our in Orange County that go upwards of $75 million. So when we're taking the whole county into account, yes, pending sales are down because a lot of that is luxury. However, the market under $1 million is still moving right now, and we're still getting activity. So that's something that you really got to pay attention to. So having said that, know your market. I think one of the persons on the thing asked a question and said, you know, do you see massive inventory coming online suddenly when virus pandemic passes? The answer to that is it's going to be a little bit challenging to tell. Okay, right now what we're doing, and can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. My headset just died. So having said that, it's kind of like when you have someone in the emergency room right now, and I pray to God that nobody's sick right now or nobody's watching this, is anyone affected. But, you know, Melissa, you know, working in the hospital, right, as a nurse, when you see someone in the ER, what are you paying attention to? You're looking at their vitals, right? You're looking at the vital signs, because the vitals tell you on a moment-by-moment basis, what do I do with this patient? Do I prescribe them this medicine? Do I rush them to emergency surgery? What do I do? So to answer your question is, it's a little bit too far out to predict. My best guess would say yes. When things start to settle down, do I think that a bunch of inventory is going to hit the market? I absolutely do. I really do. Having said that, I think we're actually going to see a flood in the market before that point, because people went through a recession in 2007 and it hit everyone really hard. And what did they learn from that time? They learned that you want to sell at the beginning of the recession, not in the middle of it. If you sell in the beginning, that's the best possible price you will get in that time. So if you don't think you can keep your home right now, and if you have a situation where you have to sell, the best price that you would have gotten was last week. And I don't mean that as a joke. That's really the truth. The best price you would have got was last week. So that's my answer to you, but we're going to pay attention to the vitals, and we're going to, you need to get with a local agent who really knows the market well, and you need to pay attention to inventory and demand. And also what time of the year you're putting your home on the market is critical as well. So having said that, those are the most important points that I think I wanted to cover. And my kind of parting advice to agents is a couple of things, just from a really heartfelt level. Number one, you need absolutely nothing to be happy and joyful. You can be just as happy and joyful broke as you can be with $1 million in your bank account. And I know a lot of really unhappy, wealthy people, and I know a lot of really happy, broke people. So just remember that when you go home to your family every day, put the biggest smile you can on your face and just say, thank God that I'm alive. Thank God that I'm healthy. And if you're rich in friendships, you are the wealthiest person on earth. So reach out to your friends and FaceTime right now. The second thing that I want to part with is leaders take initiative. Followers wait for protocol. Leaders take initiative. Followers wait for protocol. Take initiative with anything. Nobody knows what to do right now. You guys, we're just a compilation of our best guesses. Everyone is living this one day at a time. So take the best step that you think you can and experience the feedback. And if it doesn't work, then try a new method. But take initiative. Call your clients. Call your mortgage provider. Call your vendors. Do whatever you can, but stay in motion and make the best use of this time. I've gotten so much work done during this quarantine time, but I've also done a lot of personal projects done that I never would have, and what a blessing that is. So I ran over my time, but hopefully I was able to address some of those questions of what agents should do right now.
Awesome. Well, Steven, oh my gosh, all that fire you just spit was amazing. And I think, you know, I was taking notes. Everyone was taking notes. We all appreciate the passion and everything that you shared. I mean, the biggest thing that I took away from the million nuggets that you presented was leaders take initiative and followers follow protocol. And
Absolutely.
I think,
That's powerful.
yeah, absolutely. And I think all of us as realtors, we're all leaders, whether you know it or not. You're leading a transaction, you're leading people where they want to go, you're leading your family, you're leading your friends, you're leading your business. You're a leader, so take initiative. And the thing that's amazing about real estate is that it's 100% commission, which means if we don't make the efforts to become a professional, like what Steven said, then we're not going to be paid like a professional. Just like when you want to be a great actor, you only get as good as you practice, and you only get as far as you're willing to put in the hard work. And so all of us need to remember that we're leaders. And if you don't feel like you're a leader, what does it look like and what do you have to do to become a leader? Because if you're not a leader, you're not going to be able to lead other people or even lead yourself through this downshifting market.
Great points, Anthony. So let's wrap this up. Thank you everyone for being on the call.